Yo guys, what is up? Dave here, making a video for you guys. This is episode 2 of how I started my history, the history of TechX. This series is awesome. I want to show you guys pretty much anything and everything I've ever done because I want you guys to understand where I came from, what kind of background I have, what I've done, what I haven't done yet, what I'm planning on doing in the future, or things that I've just touched on, sort of, kind of. But in this episode, we are going to go over my history with combat arms. The reason I want to dedicate an entire episode to combat arms is because I did so much. It it captured nearly 4 years of my life, combat arms, and it turned me into the modder, the hacker. It gave me a lot of the habits that I have today because of the people I met, some of the people I worked with, and just generally the releases and things that I made. So here we are today on MPGH. This was my third home when it came to combat arms. My first home was Game Killer. Now, a lot of people, oh, not that one. I don't even know if Game Killer is still around. Here it is, Game Killer. Now, I went on Game Killer, I went under the name D Comic Boy. And the thing with D Comic Boy was this is where I started 90% of my stuff. Now, they no longer have a combat arms section, which I do not blame them for. Combat arms, when it comes to modding and hacking, has kind of finally died. But on Game Killer, what ended up happening was I had downloaded the game and I found this website and I was looking for hacks because I suck at first person shooters. I'm terrible, whether it's with a mouse and keyboard. I'm even worse with a controller. I can hold my own if you give me a sniper on a mouse and keyboard, but no, don't ever let me play on controller unless you want to see something hilarious. But the thing with Game Killer was they recognized the talent of about 8 of us. There were 8 people on this site that were actually notoriously good at hacking combat arms. And what we did was, this was long before we knew about like what kind of game engine combat arms used. That disappears. That's weird. Wonder if they know that. But this was long before we knew any of that information, and Game Killer was actually where we debuted. More specifically, my friend Greg debuted the biggest mod release probably in the history of combat arms that started to ruin modding. Before we came along, or he came along, people were only making like model switches, custom textures, and that's literally it. We came along, we recognized this file in the game system called the rs.res. Now, I can show you that file real quick because guess what I got? I don't have combat arms, but I have the I have the source code of the entire game engine. But there's in some of the versions of this game engine's files, it's called LithTech Jupyter Enterprise. You will have folders instead of res files, but res files are honestly just fancy folders. We recognized that this folder held all the secrets to how models and things like that on the game were rendered. And we noticed that default was called on pretty much every model that was important. So guns, people, some objects on the map. Default.ltb was the most important. Now, I've just realized that I do not have HXD hex editor, and I'm going to download that real quick. But I'm going to keep explaining while I download something live. We're going to do it live. But we're going to download this real quick. We're just going to download per FTP. And we're going to open this up real quick because I need to install it for you guys to understand how modding started. When modding started, we were doing it all by hexadecimal. Literally all of it. It was ridiculous. What we did for the very first version of modded wallhack, which is what happened with the rs.res, is we took the translucent, or I believe there's a transparent. Yeah, there's a transparent.ltb. We took this and renamed it to the default and then injected it back into that rs.res file, replaced the rs.res file in the combat arms folder, and then we went into the game and we could see people through the walls. It was amazing. Now, after we started doing that, we started to decide, we normally hex edit gun models anyway. Like, I'll show you an example here. When we hex edited gun models, I will show you the katana. When we hex edit gun models, you can search things like fire, there's fire key, and the way it works is these are what are called keyframes. And what keyframes would do is that's actually telling the game engine, hey, he's firing the weapon. So what we would do with that is we would usually just take it, copy it, and you could actually just literally spam it. You could spam it in here and it would call it over and over. I believe you need a semicolon in between these still, but you could call it over and over and over again, and that's how we made the first rapid fire. So now the thing was, we knew we could hex edit guns. Can we hex edit the rs.res? Yes. Now when it came to these files, they're very small and they're very fragile. But what we ended up doing is there was one night, I will never forget this night. I started at about 10 o'clock and finished at 4. I went through every single byte that actually had something that wasn't a 00. I went through every single one and modified every single one. Changed it to something else. I would open this and like compare it to other things, like I would compare it to this one. Okay, what's different in this one compared to this one? Alright, so what I ended up figuring out is these were colors. This would control the alpha channel, so to speak, so how opaque the image was. And that's why this is transparent, is because this is literally 00. But on here, it's F8. So this means that it's not transparent literally at all. It's about as solid gets. So I went through and I modified all these things. I figured out where the colors were and stuff like that. And then after that, we started releasing hacks, like wall hacks that had different colors. I can show you guys because holy crap, dude. The amount of releases I made for combat arms is ridiculous. How do I get to my attachments? Attachments. How do I do it? I think I gotta go by settings. I gotta go to attachments. There we go. Troll post. But anyway, let's see here. I will go as far back as I can. Okay, here we go. Super Smash Bros. Themed champs. Now these ones were made in the game engine, which was a little bit different. I believe this video is gone. No. But as you can see, everything actually had a color. You could see people more easily. Granted, it didn't put them through walls or anything, but it was just a cool little render. Actually, oh yeah, you could see people through walls with this. But yeah, it was just a cool little render, and then just modding Combat Arms just grew from there. There was so much stuff we could do. MPGH treated us very well, a lot better than Game Killer did. Granted, Game Killer gave us a private section to just share all of our thoughts in, but MPGH just ended up growing into this monster that everybody loved us, wanted us to be here. Ooh, I'm gonna download this real quick. Thank you. Anyway, so what we ended up doing with MPGH is I just started posting and releasing, and it kind of makes me upset that I can't see anything before this date, because I had stuff way back in 2010, I think even 2009, but I'm not entirely sure on that because this is very late into my modding. But things you'll see that were probably my biggest were when I started getting into custom models. And this is when I started, converting 3D models from other games, mainly the Source engine, because those were the easiest to get models from. But we did so much. This was like my 21st birthday release. This was just a bunch of custom models that actually had textures and stuff like that. My pistol pub. Now let me explain this. Pistol Pub was, and Super Spawns both, these were actually different. Yes, I was in the modding scene, but I was carried over into the hacking scene, learning C++, learning D3D, which is DirectX, and I was making DirectX menus, starting to understand the SDK, because I felt like with the modding background that I had, um, oh, oh, wow, that brings back memories. But with the modding background that I had, I will explain that in a moment because that's the best mod I ever made. When it came to this stuff, it was such a learning curve. It was so cool. I learned so much from these guys. What Super Spawns was a way to spawn weapons in the game with hacks. We could get literally any gun we wanted in the game. I wish I had a picture of the menu, but I can't pop that up in a video. The video wouldn't record that. I believe that there was a... Yeah, so that was my D3D menu. And you could actually spawn literally any gun on this list. It was so cool. But that was probably my biggest hack release. As you can see down here, 61 users say thanks. What was it on 1.0? Pistol Pub. And there were other hacks I released that got even more thanks, like 61 on this one as well. But yeah, that's just where I went with hacks. Like I just started understanding, and I knew how the game engine works, so I knew what to look for in the source code when it came to the SDK that we actually had access to, because Nexon is pretty stupid. They didn't change much. So, you know, when it comes to the best mod I personally ever made, this was it. And I am actually going to, if this video works, because I don't know which channel it was on, I actually have another channel, I just never use it. If this video works, I will leave a link in the description. I hope you guys check it out, because this is probably the funniest mod I ever made, the coolest mod I ever made, the best mod I ever made. I put 2.5 hours into this mod, learned how to modify what's called the client effects, added sound, effects, everything. It was such a good mod. Here, let's take a look. Take a look. Pretty stupid mod. Stupid as hell. It literally let you pick up the power-up box, and then it would be Super Mario yelling, hee hee, I got it. And then it would be the star power from Mario Kart while you're in effect of your superpower. Dumbest goddamn thing I could think of, but the coolest mod I think I've ever made. And, you know, that's where it was. And a lot of you guys may know, oh wow, this is still here? Yeah, man, Jesus Christ. By the way, one of the pictures in this thread is actually not mine. That one, it just got replaced on the server. But yeah, this was just the tutorial for converting models from Source Engine to Combat Arms. But a lot of you also have heard me talk about somewhere along the line, CAPS. It was the Combat Arms private server, but it was actually much more than that. CAPS was CAPS was actually a full custom game client where we were converting models and maps to No One Lives Forever 2, which was a game we actually had the full source code for, which is the one that's in here. This is No One Lives Forever 2. And we were actually converting the game entirely. Now, this is a Combat Arms map in a different game engine. Granted, the quality is terrible. Yes, I beeped myself. Any CA map did work. It was so cool. We actually converted a lot of the Blood Money things and Cabin Fever and stuff like that. But yeah, this is just where I really got my start entirely. The full SDK for send to server, create object. This was the this is where I was when it came to hacks. I was helping out the hackers learn how the game engine worked a lot of the time, like the messages and how to actually send to server. I didn't discover it, but I was definitely a big help, as you can see. I didn't know C++ hardly at all. But yeah, Flameswar, he was good. And there were just a lot of guys on here. It just so much. I did so much with Combat Arms, and this is what taught me so much. Seal Hunter minigame is another thing. Cyber Spammer, this is still available on MPGH. I have been looking for this. I have been looking for this forever. Oh my god. That was just some random shit that I made. But Seal Hunter minigame is literally a game where you run around and hit seals with a hammer. Don't worry about it. This was just a D3D base, DirectX base for a mod. And then there's just so much more, like ResChams, Boxy mod, ResChams for hacks. Ever wanted a stack of Mustangs? What? Oh, there's no picture. That's okay. I wanted to know what the picture was. I don't even remember that mod. But yeah, this was literally just another wall hack through modifying the game files like I started talking about at the beginning of this video. And then that's just where it finally ended. There's just not much else. When it came to caps, I finally made my first map. You guys can actually see a video, I believe, of this on my channel. We're gonna look real quick because I want to know if it's there. I'm gonna hope it's there, because Block Fort was my biggest achievement. I made that map entirely custom. Block Fort. Yes! So this was Block Fort. It may look familiar if you've played Mario Kart. This was the first map I ever made by hand 100% myself. It was very easy. I actually did have a time when I was running around with a friend. We were shooting each other and stuff. I wasn't too good at lighting at the time, but, you know, that's just what it is. And then, you know, Combat Arms. If you just search my channel for Combat Arms, you're going to find so many videos. You will learn so much about me just because of Combat Arms, like modding fails, hacking and modding unite. This was an awesome video. There's a lot of private videos you guys won't be able to see. This is when I made my first working dip hook, which is, I can't remember what dip stands for now. Weird teleport effect, it gave me 0 HP. Just a lot of the stuff that I just randomly messed with. And then like Seal Hunter, OPK, that was when I figured out how to do one position kills with mods. There was just so much we could do in Combat Arms, and that's where I learned primarily 90% of what I know now. And Caps is no different. If I still have it, which it's actually right here, the history on Caps was, it started out with a friend named Matty Patty. That was his username on MPGH. He owned other sites like Stage 3000 for a while. I worked with them like on and off, and we started making Caps. Caps was that private server that I was talking about, the custom client, and what we did was we were just fixing the issues and making the game engine work for accepting the Combat Arms files, and we got really far with it. But then we started to realize that maybe this would cause legal issues if we got too far with it. What you could basically do with this, what we ended up doing was we changed the name to TPS, which is the private server. And the goal of the private server, or TPS, was to basically be like a Gary's mod, but on LithTech Jupyter instead of Source Engine. We basically wanted to make the game like a base game, but then the community would submit stuff for, you know, the future of it or something like that. Oh wow, this is a lot of stuff in here. The tools, the source code for tools, more source code, SDKs, runtime SDKs, and then this was just like the release of it. TPS launcher, it used to connect to a server. Actually, I wonder if I can get the source code for that now. .NET Reflector. I need the source code for that. I haven't had it in years, and there's some stuff on that that I could learn off of and just convert to C sharp that would make for some epic login systems. But we're gonna hope. Can I get the source code? Please? Oh, thank you. No way. I can. I am so happy right now. So I'm not worried about looking into any of this because I know that this website is long gone. But this was the source code for something that I've been looking for personally for fucking ever. Yeah, see, like Int Gamers, this doesn't exist anymore. But it would be your username, your password, and it would log you in and allow you to actually use the uh, game engine. Now, I probably can modify this with Reflexel to just let me straight into it, but it was a really cool, uh, it was an awesome tool. It did so much, and I don't know, for such a little tool, we were doing a lot with the game. We were adding custom ranks. We were doing some injection of a DLL to actually. This is back when I used to use VB for my forums. But we were just doing so much stuff. I wish I still had these files because that was the first PHP I ever did. But now I suck at PHP, so I don't really bother. Because I haven't used it in so long. And then we actually had a way that it would load servers. And it was so cool. And, you know, I want to get back into TPS, but it's just so old. It's so outdated. There's no reason to. And so many more of you guys want Racing Rivals, or I mean, Nitto Legends or Nitto Challenge remade, that I'd rather focus on eventually making that. Now, when it comes to Combat Arms, I learned a lot. I made, you know, this, which eventually, thank you, I based it on Contract Jack. Contract Jack is a much cleaner way to mod this game. Now, I can't run this because of probably this. Yeah, I can't run it just because of that. It's just because my computer's too new to run it. It on Windows 8.1, it just never worked. So that was kind of the problem with that. But you know, there's these full packages. If anybody that watches my video still knows of the Lithtech Jupiter engine or knows of like TPS or CAPS or remembers me from Combat Arms, let me know in the comments down below because that'd be so cool to hear. It'd be cool to see somebody come back from the Combat Arms community and, you know, let me know that they still like remember everything we did. And I know this video doesn't really show much of what I did. It shows like the finished product, not how to do it. And I don't know, it's kind of hard to show that on a game engine that doesn't work on my computer anymore. So I can't really show that. But also, just because somebody asked in the in a on Facebook, they asked me about this Herbert sexy thing. I'm just gonna play it. That's gonna be how I close out the video. If it'll play. I don't think it's gonna play. No, I guess not. Oh. Hold on. Now, a little background on this. I know this is completely off topic. This was a soundbite that I ripped out of a YouTube video that I wish I could find. I don't remember the game, but the guy was trolling people, talking like Herbert the pervert, and this was just the part of the video that made me laugh the hardest. The video was 38 freaking minutes long. This was literally at like 37 minutes. And it was worth watching the entire video because back in the day, if you used to skip on YouTube to later parts, it would actually just like crash YouTube. Not the website, but it would crash like on your computer. And this was the part that I finally cut out of the video because it was just so funny. I'm gonna eventually just start a video with that. You know what? I'm gonna eventually start a video with that because it's the funniest shit I have ever heard. It's going in here, it's going in a YouTube video somewhere, and you guys are not going to expect it. It's just gonna be some random, like, cutout. It's gonna be a picture of Herbert, it's gonna be this soundbite, and that's gonna be freaking it. But you know what, guys? This episode of my history, my past doesn't really show much, and I understand that. But I will talk to you guys in the next one where I go over just like random games, probably some mobile stuff. Introduce you guys to what I did probably with Racing Rivals because, granted, it's a big jump and there's kind of a gap in there of where I didn't really mod anything. Like personally, I would use like third-party tools to mod like Need for Speed and shit like that. But I'll jump into Racing Rivals in the next video and hopefully talk to you guys then. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I know this video is a little bit wonky, but I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace